What if the words you speak could reshape reality? Not metaphorically, not symbolically, but literally, tearing mountains into dust or bending the laws of physics themselves? Hidden within the shadows of history lies a language so potent, so perilous, it was said to be reserved for the divine and forbidden to humankind. This is Enochian, a lexicon of creation, whispered to hold the raw frequencies of Genesis. Ancient texts claim its syllables can command storms, dissolve matter, or even unmake cities. But this isn't just myth. Declassified experiments from the 1980s allegedly tested these utterances on a mysterious alloy, walls forged using the language itself. The results? Catastrophic and buried. The Book of Enoch issues a dire warning, preserved for millennia by the Ethiopian Orthodox Church to guard an ancient tradition. Yet fragments remain, and the question lingers: what happens when mortals wield a tongue meant for gods? Join us as we unravel the enigma of Enochian, from its celestial origins to the chilling experiments that may have resurrected its power. What you're about to hear might change how you see reality itself. To understand Enochian, we must travel back to a time when heaven and earth were said to touch. The Book of Enoch, a text older than Genesis, describes a language taught to humanity by fallen angels, a tongue so volatile it was swiftly sealed away. But why? According to ancient scribes, Enochian wasn't merely a code, it was a bridge, a direct line to the forces that shaped existence. Enoch, the great-grandfather of Noah, was said to have walked with angels and transcribed this language. His writings detail how its syllables could summon storms, heal the sick, or unleash chaos. But by the 4th century, councils like Laodicea deemed his revelations too dangerous for widespread canonization. Only the Ethiopian Orthodox Church preserved his work in full, guarding it not as scripture, but as a warning. Centuries later, whispers of Enochian resurfaced in the journals of Elizabethan occultists. These scholars claim to have rediscovered the language through visions, a series of 48 keys or incantations, each linked to celestial realms. But their notes carried a chilling caveat. To speak these words is to risk inviting forces beyond human control. Some researchers believe they weren't merely translating, they were reawakening something. And here, history takes a darker turn. In the 1980s, declassified documents from a Cold War-era research program described tests on a material codenamed Uranthium, a metal allegedly smelted using phonemes from the Enochian lexicon. When subjected to specific vocal frequencies, witnesses reported the alloy resonating anomalously and then disintegrating at the molecular level. Could this be proof that Enochian operates on a principle modern science is only beginning to grasp? That certain sound frequencies might rearrange matter itself? Ancient traditions suggest yes. Tibetan monks have long used harmonic chants to levitate stones, and quantum physicists now theorize about vibrational matrices underlying reality. But Enochian takes this further. It's not just harmony, it's command. The deeper we dig, the clearer the pattern becomes. Cultures worldwide buried Enochian-like languages, fearing their power. The Mayans sealed star tongues in subterranean vaults. Hindu Vedas spoke of Shabda Brahma, creation through sound, but forbade its misuse. And Enoch's descendants? They encoded their knowledge in myths, hoping we'd heed the warning before it was too late. Yet the question remains, Why would a language survive millennia if it were truly meant to be lost? Is it a test, a trap, or a key to realities we're not yet ready to face? What makes Enochian different from any language on Earth? Linguists describe it as nonlinear, a web of interdimensional syntax where every syllable operates like a command. Unlike human speech, which conveys meaning, Enochian allegedly alters meaning. Ancient texts compare it to a sword, its edges sharp enough to cut through the veil between worlds. But how? To grasp its power, consider cymatics, the science of visible sound. Certain frequencies force particles into order, creating shapes from chaos. Now imagine a language engineered not to reflect reality, but to reshape it. Some researchers propose Enochian's phonemes mirror resonant frequencies embedded in matter itself, a cosmic blueprint spoken into existence. The so-called Enochian keys discovered by Elizabethan occultists were no mere incantations. Each key corresponds to a specific plane of existence, according to their journals. The 18th key, for instance, invokes the throne of winds, a phrase some physicists interpret as manipulating atmospheric pressure. The 30th key speaks of unbinding the chains of the earth, which theorists link to destabilizing molecular bonds. This isn't speculation. Declassified 1980s documents describe an alloy, codenamed Uranthium, forged using Enochian vocalizations. When technicians recited the 12th key during tests, sensors recorded vibrations exceeding 20,000 hertz. Witnesses claimed the metal sang itself apart, collapsing into powder. Was this a fluke, or proof that Enochian targets the weak nuclear force, the glue holding atoms together? Modern acoustics experts suggest Enochian's guttural vowels and rasping consonants generate standing waves, patterns that amplify energy exponentially. Tibetan monks use similar principles in harmonic levitation chants, but Enochian's structure is precise, almost mathematical. One slip in pronunciation, and the effect inverts. A blessing becomes a curse, a building block, a bomb. Yet the greatest mystery isn't how Enochian works, it's why it exists. Why would a language capable of unmaking cities be entrusted to humans? The Book of Enoch hints at an unsettling truth. This tongue wasn't given, it was stolen. Fallen angels taught it to humanity, hoping we'd weaponize it. And when we did, the deluge began. Legends of lost civilizations speak of starfall weapons and towers leveled by words of fire. Could these be metaphors for Enochian's misuse? Archaeologists have found Sumerian tablets describing a language that split the sky, while Hindu texts warn of Shabda Brahma, the primal sound, being perverted into Shabdanasha, the sound of annihilation. So where does that leave us? With a language that is both map and minefield. To speak it is to play a cosmic game of Russian roulette, each word a bullet of pure potential. Some believe Enochian isn't just a relic, it's a test, one we're still failing. If Enochian's power lies in its resonance, what happens when its frequencies intersect with the human body? Ancient accounts describe speakers of the language suffering physical decay, their voices crumbling stone, but their own bones trembling in response. Some researchers propose that Enochian's phonemes interact with our biology, amplifying energy in ways the flesh cannot contain. A warning, perhaps, that wielding creation's tongue requires more than mortal lungs, or sanity. This duality, creation and destruction, echoes across traditions. The Hindu Vedas speak of Nada Brahma, sound as divinity. Yet their priests cautioned against chanting certain mantras without decades of preparation. Similarly, Kabbalistic texts describe the Shem HaMepharash, a name of God so potent its misuse could unstitch the soul. Enochian, it seems, is no exception. But why does this pattern repeat? Some theorists argue these languages share a common source, a primordial code etched into reality itself. Recent analyses of pre-Babylonian texts reveal startling parallels. A shattered Assyrian tablet dated to 1800 BCE references a storm tongue used to level mountains. Meanwhile, deciphered fragments of the Emerald Tablet describe alchemical processes activated by tones beyond hearing. Could these be fragments of Enochian's legacy or proof of a universal language of creation fragmented across cultures? Yet myths persist. Some claim Enochian can be safely channeled through ritual, a notion dismissed by scholars. Declassified Cold War-era reports detail an incident where a vocalization attempt caused a 6.2 magnitude seismic event in a remote desert. No explosion was recorded. No fault lines exist there. Only a single cryptic note. Phonetic resonance exceeded projected thresholds. Modern experiments tread cautiously. A 2019 study by acoustic engineers using AI to simulate Enochian phonemes found that specific syllables generated infrasound capable of inducing disorientation in test subjects. One researcher noted, "It's as if the language has a cognitive backdoor. The brain rejects it, but the body obeys." But the most chilling revelation comes from Uranthium's legacy. Recently uncovered journals from the 1980s experiments revealed the alloy wasn't just destroyed by Enochian, it reacted. Spectral analysis showed the metal's atomic structure briefly rearranged into an unknown configuration before disintegration. Theorists speculate this transient state could open doorways to what exactly? Another dimension? A primal realm of pure vibration? The documents don't say. They merely advise, terminate research immediately. Which leads us to the unspoken question, why does Enochian persist in the shadows? Some believe it's a litmus test for humanity's maturity. The Ethiopian church safeguarded it not to suppress, but to protect, until we evolve enough to wield it without self-destruction. Others argue it's a relic of a lost age, a weapon we're meant to rediscover. After all, the Book of Enoch warns of its return when the skies crack anew. As we stand at this crossroads, one truth becomes undeniable. Enochian is more than a language. It's a mirror, reflecting humanity's hubris, curiosity, and perilous dance with forces beyond our grasp. Will we repeat the mistakes of Babel, or finally decipher the wisdom buried in its syllables? The choice, it seems, is ours to make. The secrets of Enochian may seem distant, locked away in vaults or buried beneath deserts. But what if its lessons hold keys to navigating our own world? While few would dare utter its syllables, some researchers believe its principles can teach us to listen to the hidden frequencies shaping reality. Consider this. Every spiritual tradition warns that sound is sacred. From Gregorian chants to Sufi zikr, harmonic vibrations are used to heal, focus, and transcend. Modern studies show these practices reduce stress and enhance cognition. Could this be a fragment of Enochian wisdom, diluted for safe use? Some practitioners argue yes, that disciplined vocal rituals align us with the universe's inherent frequencies without risking chaos. Here's how to apply these insights safely. Respect the threshold. Ancient texts emphasize preparation. Before exploring sacred sounds, ground yourself in meditation or mindfulness. Chaos cannot be controlled, only balanced. Study patterns. Linguists note that Enochian's power lies in its structure, not just its words. Analyze the rhythms of nature, waves, wind, heartbeat, to understand how order emerges from chaos. Create, don't destroy. Sound healers use frequencies to restore, not rupture. Experiment with music or mantras that harmonize your environment, not dominate it. Even quantum physicists agree, reality is vibrational. By attuning ourselves to these rhythms, we may unlock latent potential. One acoustics team found that patients exposed to targeted frequencies recovered from trauma 40% faster. Another study showed plants grew 20% taller when sung to daily. The lesson? Alignment, not control, is the path to power. But tread carefully. Declassified files reveal test subjects exposed to raw Enochian phonemes suffered hallucinations, paranoia, and even organ failure. The language's architects knew, without reverence, such power corrupts. As one researcher noted, it's not the sound that's dangerous, it's the intent behind it. So where do we draw the line? Historians suggest a simple rule. If it demands secrecy, it requires responsibility. The Ethiopian church preserved Enochian not to hoard it, but to shield us. Likewise, modern seekers should prioritize wisdom over wonder. Document your explorations, share findings cautiously, and above all, question why you seek this knowledge. Enochian's greatest gift isn't destruction, it's perspective. It reminds us that reality is malleable, but fragility is universal. Whether through prayer, art, or science, we're all whispering into the void, hoping it whispers back. How will you shape your words? Perhaps the answer lies not in speaking, but in listening. We've walked the razor's edge between myth and science, between creation and oblivion. Enochian is more than a forbidden language. It's a reflection of humanity's oldest paradox, the hunger to grasp what we cannot hold. Ancient scribes called it divine fire. Modern labs called it a weapon. But what if the truth is simpler? What if Enochian is a mirror showing us the cost of power and the price of pride? From the desert experiments of the 1980s to the sealed vaults of forgotten empires, one thread binds them all, a warning. The Book of Enoch survived not to tempt us, but to teach, to remind us that some doors once opened cannot be closed, that some words once spoken cannot be unspoken. Yet here we stand, a species that split the atom, decoded the genome, and touch the stars. Will we repeat the mistakes of those who came before? Or will we finally learn to wield power with wisdom, not over it? The answer lies in a question older than Enoch itself. What will you build with the tools of gods? Will it be towers that scrape the heavens, or foundations that endure? The language of creation awaits, but so does the silence. If you've made it this far, you understand. Not all mysteries are meant to be solved. Some are meant to be felt, to remind us that the universe is stranger, darker, and more alive than we dare imagine. Stay curious, stay vigilant, and remember, the next word you speak might just change everything. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the shadows of history. If you crave more hidden truths, subscribe and ring the bell. The next mystery is closer than you think. Your support fuels our quest to uncover what lies buried. So like, comment, and share your thoughts below. Should ancient powers stay forgotten or be reclaimed? Until next time, tread lightly. The past is listening.